All right, well, we stay in D.C. now, where the congressional panel probing the January 6th assault on the U.S. Capitol has rejected an attempt by former Trump aide Steve Bannon to avoid testifying. A vote will take place later today on whether or not he will be facing charges. NewsNation correspondent Joe Kalia live for us from the nation's capital. So, Joe, what kind of charges are we talking about here?
So it's a bit complicated, Nichole, but tonight this committee is going to take its first basically consequential vote and get the ball rolling on criminal contempt for Steve Bannon for not coming forward to testify and for not providing any of the documents the committee has asked for, even in the face of a subpoena. And this is an important step for this committee, 7 Democrats, 2 Republicans. But frankly, it's a step that they knew that they were going to have to take. They knew that former President Trump, was not going to make it easy for them and comply. They knew that many of his allies, like Steve Bannon, also were not just going to comply with what the committee wanted. So why is this so important? Congress is actually setting a benchmark today, and the committee, for the first time, is reaching out and asking, basically, the Department of Justice to come forward and to enforce these subpoenas. Now, technically, Steve Bannon faces up to $100,000 in fines and up to a year in prison if he doesn't comply. But Congress is not a police force. They're not their own court. So these consequences are very rarely actually applied. But what Bannon's lawyers are saying is that he is protected under what's known as executive privilege. That means that his conversations with a previous president, a former president, would not have to be disclosed, and he could keep it secret. The committee has 3 specific problems with that. They say, 1, President Trump is no longer president, so he doesn't get executive privilege. 2, they say President Trump never actually explicitly gave Steve Bannon this privilege. And 3, Bannon hadn't worked in the White House for a number of years before January 6th. So that's what the committee's pushing forward today. Now, Bannon's appeal and former President Trump's lawsuit against this committee could very well slow their work down, even if Bannon or Trump don't win those appeals. Ultimately, just delaying for months or even longer than that, documents or testimony could have a real impact on their work, Nichole.
All right, so, Joe, there could be some delays there, but the committee, again, voting tonight. So what happens next?
So the committee's voting tonight on this order that they basically put together. If it passes, which we think it will, it's going to go to the full House. The House votes on it, and then it goes to the U.S. attorney here in D.C., and they would basically treat it like a federal criminal case, like anything else. They would have to pursue it there, and then we would see the court process happen. So it's a couple steps, but this is basically the first one getting the ball rolling on holding Steve Bannon in contempt.
Yeah, it seems like a somewhat complicated process there, Joe, but you explained it well, so thank you for that.